This is Cronkite News.
Arizona is dealing with a surge in COVID cases. Does public health protection trump civil liberties? Plus, the app that's helping Spanish speakers connect to the information they need about the COVID-19 outbreak. And it's just about time to play ball. The D-backs are ready to announce their summer roster.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Caitlin Keenahan. Thanks for joining us. Governor Doug Ducey held a news conference late Monday afternoon where he ordered the shutdown of bars, gyms, movie theaters, water parks, and tubing starting Monday night for 1 month. He also limited mass gatherings of more than 50 people. He also announced the first day of school will be delayed until August 17th. The State Department of Health is activating the crisis standards of care, which allows hospitals to use guidelines to determine who will get care if there's a shortage of beds. Those guidelines include likelihood of survival. The number of hospitalizations and patients in the ICU is up, according to Monday's data from the Arizona Department of Health Services. A record 3,858 new cases were reported on Sunday, with 88% of ICU beds in Arizona in use. Despite those high numbers, there's a legal battle brewing over wearing masks, pitting free speech against public health.
First of all, wearing them is super smart and critical for purpose of taming down specific cases. CDC has been very clear on that in the last several weeks, especially even in places where social distancing is not being observed correctly. Wearing masks is already proving to be a huge difference. So that you wear them from a public health perspective is smart. Can we require you to wear them legally? The answer is, you bet. If you're in a public setting and you're in a specific jurisdiction, like here in Arizona with multiple municipalities pursuant to Governor Ducey's orders, requiring mask wearing under specific public settings, yes, you can be required to do that.
The number of new cases reported by the state was low this morning because one lab didn't get their data in. Those numbers will be reported on Tuesday. Those seeking COVID-19 tests in the West Valley waited in long lines 2 weeks ago. Equity Health increased staffing, created more lines and appointment-only testing this past weekend to help mitigate that. But there's still a large need for testing.
Parts of our diverse communities that have not had access to COVID-19 testing, the viral testing, and so they're underserved and under-tested, and especially within the Hispanic community, where I just looked at the data today, making up about 35% of hospitalized cases. So soon we'll surpass the white population. So there's a huge surge going on and a need to have access to testing.
Residents all across Arizona are curious about what we will learn about COVID-19 next. But for those who only speak Spanish, where can they get this information? Cronkite News reporter FRANKIE MCLISTER tells us about one platform that's goal is to help connect them to the answers they need.
Maritza Felix is a well-known journalist with experience in both television and newspaper. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, she says she felt that she could make a difference.
It's the news you can use, the resources that you need directly to your cell phone in Spanish.
When COVID-19 hit Arizona, there was new information every single day. From the stay-at-home order to now the face covering mandate, Arizonans are constantly needing to be informed. But those who do not speak English, getting information is just a bit more complicated, according to Felix.
What we do is we share information, we share graphics, we share every tip that we can think of.
We tell the stories of people.
Then she met John RUDOLPH, an executive producer of Feet in Two Worlds, which is an online project that focuses on telling the stories of immigrants.
Quería aprender todo.
Our audience is growing like crazy.
Together, they created Conecta Arizona, a WhatsApp group launched on May 11th as a response to help the Hispanic community with information during the pandemic.
Ya no se sienten ni los meses.
Alberto Martinez from Nogales is among one of its members.
Es el COVID y hoy en día pues es de estar viviendo el día al día para mantenernos saludables.
According to the census, the Hispanic population in Arizona is 31.6%. And 27.2% of Arizonans speak a language other than English. Felix says the project has been quite a success because they're reaching a sector of the community that doesn't have access to regular media and others who do not speak English or who live in remote communities.
They're sharing it with at least 5 and they are also uploading all the information to their social media.
Well, every afternoon from about 2 to 3 p.m., Felix opens up that group chat to La Hora de Cafecito, meaning coffee hour in Spanish. This gives group members the opportunity to ask questions such as, well, can I leave my home? And number 2, where do I get tested? Her phone won't stop. And according to the latest census, 12.7% of people under the age of 65 don't have health insurance in Arizona. A 2019 Datos report on Hispanic health indicated that in 2016, 39,263 U.S. Hispanics died of cancer and 37,799 from heart disease. That population is what Conecta Arizona is trying to reach, says Felix. She frequently invites health experts to Conecta Arizona so people can ask questions directly and get immediate answers. Dr. Lopez from Guaymas, Sonora, Mexico was one of them.
Invito a que aquellas personas que no tienen seguro médico hagan ejercicio regularmente.
El grupo Conecta Arizona.
Mario in Phoenix says he is searching for news.
Con profesionales que dan su punto de vista para ayudar a la comunidad hispana.
And now, Conecta Arizona isn't only a chat, but it also has an audience on both Facebook and Twitter. What they post and what they share is spreading both nationally and internationally. Their messages have reached all the way from Maricopa County to Tucson, Yuma, Flagstaff, and the state of Sonora, Mexico.
And I feel this group is like a family. We are growing together with our WhatsApp group and our social media.
They're only a month and a half in and have 250 individuals in the chat. So what will Conecta be in the future?
I see it growing into an ongoing news service that focuses on a wide range of issues that are of interest to Latinx residents of Arizona and Sonora.
In Tucson, Frankie McLister, Cronkite News.
Conecta Arizona is exploring the possibility of having a radio show where they can increase their audience. When Vice President Mike Pence visits Arizona on Tuesday, he will not hold a campaign rally. He still plans to meet with governors and healthcare leaders here and in Florida, but the campaign says the rallies are off. He did attend a rally in Dallas over the weekend. A chorus of more than 100 people sang without wearing face masks. Pence did wear a mask when he was seated in the crowd, but not while he was speaking. The U.S. Supreme Court won't hear a case from environmental groups opposed to the border wall between the U.S. and Mexico. Several groups had challenged a federal law that allows the Secretary of Homeland Security to waive any laws necessary to allow the quick construction of border fencing. Environmental groups argued that violates the Constitution's separation of powers, but a lower court dismissed the case, and the justices will let that stand. The Supreme Court took action Monday that is being viewed as a win for supporters of abortion rights. Chief Justice John Roberts sided with the liberals on the court to block a controversial Louisiana abortion law. Critics say the law would have had the effect of closing nearly every abortion clinic in the state. It would have required any doctor who performed the procedure to have admitting rights at a nearby hospital. Pro-choice supporters argued that the law was not medically necessary and amounted to a veiled attempt to restrict abortion. 4 years ago, the court struck down a similar law in Texas. Pro-life groups had hoped a more conservative makeup of the court today would have made a major difference this time around. Mississippi residents will likely be able to vote on a new state flag in November. A bill to replace it is going to Governor Tate Reeves, who says he'll sign it. Both the State House and Senate passed the legislation on Sunday. Across the chambers, 128 lawmakers voted for it. Only 37 opposed it. The bill would establish a commission to redesign the flag. It mandates the emblem include the phrase, "In God We Trust." Other than that, voters have the final say. Mississippi is the last state with the Confederate battle emblem as part of its flag, but other states have Confederate imagery in their flag designs. The return of pro sports in the U.S. is back in action. The Women's National Soccer League kicked off this weekend, and the 2020 NWSL Challenge Cup showcased more than just soccer skill. U.S. national team member and Mesa native Julie Ertz embraced teammate Casey Short in solidarity. The impact was more lasting than just a moment. The NWSL Players Associate released a statement saying, "We are incredibly proud of our players for being the first major sports league to return to play in the U.S. and doing so in a safe way, while also bringing attention to the fight for racial justice." Both teams took a knee during the national anthem, wearing t-shirts and armbands saying Black Lives Matter in honor of the movement. The NWSL said these were player-led initiatives to take a unified stance. The Arizona Diamondbacks announced its 60-man summer camp roster today. ASU alum Mike Leake was selected for it, but informed the D-backs that he will opt out of the 2020 season. He is the first D-backs player to announce he will not play this season. General manager Mike HAZEN did not say why Leake is opting out, but ESPN's Jeff Passan shared a message from Leake's agent saying, quote, Mike and his family had many discussions about playing this season. They took countless factors into consideration, many of which are personal to him and his family. GM Mike HAZEN says the D-backs are going to be just fine without Leake.
A number of times, I still believe we're going to have good starting pitching depth. I believe we had 7 legitimate major league starters going into the season to begin with. That is now 6. Where we were in spring training when spring training broke. So I still think we're in a very good position, but -1 now.
Leake came to the Diamondbacks through a trade last season and pitched in the starting rotation for 10 games. Fans will still see favorites like Archie Bradley, David Peralta, and Ketel Marte, along with new faces like Madison Bumgarner, Starling Marte, and ASU alum Cole Calhoun. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.